Hello everyone, this is your Daily Dose of Internet. This guy posts insane rants on Twitter, sorry, X. If it's rigid, it's probably the ego. If it's fluid, it's probably the self. You do not despise the self-proclaimed esoteric enlightened spiritualist enough. When you look at the brain-dead play school bullshit fanfiction these people concoct after they get done with roughly several years being soul-ripped by drugs, it's enough to make you puke! What's especially egregious about the premise is that they occupy a distinctly niche capacity of thought, which one only becomes familiar with through meditation or gratuitous drug use. It is a limited exposure to concepts beyond physical reality that leaves nearly everybody confused, traumatized, and often baited into seeking out rabbit holes to explain what they've experienced. Because of this state of chaos, the especially arrogant and ignorant enjoy a monopoly on grooming uninitiated, untainted minds into following the same spiritually communistic erosion of identity that they went through. Usually steered there by CIA agents from the 60s and secular sex pests who sought out a casserole of Eastern philosophy purely out of interest in its alien novelty as opposed to the Abrahamic Western upbringing that they so despise. What's even worse than the context of being more or less unable to coherently argue against a vague, undefinable set of conscious impulses is that the only established modern philosophy even attempting to fight back is the very same monotheistic Abrahamic religions, which themselves are ill-equipped to combat the ubiquity of freely traded information, broken by the mistake of allowing the common man access to the full context of religion. The fundamental issue is that stupid, mediocre people should have never been allowed to experiment in any sort of philosophy. At any given point, the majority of the population is not equipped to handle the consequences and implications of the free will or self-determination in any capacity. Its mistake in politics is made self-evident by the lethal flaws of democracy. Its mistake in economics is made self-evident by the consequences of abolishing slavery, and its mistake in spirituality is made self-evident by the erosion of religious gatekeeping. Religions exist entirely to coral and protect a fundamentally stupid and ignorant sect of what would otherwise be the backbone of society by preventing them from interfacing with forms of thought and experience that would dissolute them into the astral equivalent of a victim, prison bitch, thrall to the interest of chaos and mischief. It is made clear when you talk to these people, who by the way are some of the dullest and conversationally unpleasant bores you'll ever meet in your life. It is made clear whenever you go to any kind of music festival and you see the final product of reducing your conscious capacity to the most common denominator possible, an uneasy adherence to conflict-averse baby-minded puke aesthetics that espouse pointless platitudes of self-love in a perpetual prison loop of trying not to freak out drug addicts in a crowd. The average person has absolutely no fucking business giving any sort of advice on spiritual matters. The average spiritual conversation in modern times is one of the most annoying and unbearable social experiences you can find yourself in. It always amounts to a mutual masturbation of playground infinity god power +1 schizo-offs about who truly grasps the fractal frequency of any meaning and whatever the fuck you all derive from vapid, screeching nobodies who have trained themselves to ignore the bored, distracted facial expressions of whatever poor bastards are stuck listening to their drivel. The only basic advice 90% of you need is that the only things you should focus on is being physically healthy, financially successful, socially capable, and fulfilling your basic obligation towards having a family with well-raised kids. If you find yourself unable to tear away from the great distraction of curiosity, just make sure you hold on to a healthy degree of contempt. It may save your life. Also, if you're one of these people, do not fucking reply to me. You are an annoying pest. I don't give a shit about how much brain damage and soul rot you incurred looking up Aleister Crowley's sodomy scat babble. And nobody cares about how schizophrenic you became after dabbling in gematria and word magic. You are an incoherent, inconsequential worm, and I'd rather nail my fucking dick to a table than engage in a conversation with you. Fuck you!